Hi everyone, it's Toni. I just wanted to try to do a video of how to use, these are my stamps, how to put a project out there. So you've created a card and you want to share the products that you used for that card and possibly add steps to the project so that you can then print this document out and use it in a class. So this is what I'm going to attempt to do today, and hopefully this will work. I didn't turn the video on for this video, for this meeting, because I just wasn't ready to be on video yet. So let's see if we can't get ourselves to TAMS. And I'm hoping that you're able now to see the TAMS sign-in screen. So I've already logged in to TAMS, and I'm going to go to, oh, and just to let you know, what I've done ahead of time is I took my picture of my project, and I took it with my phone, and then I sent that picture to myself in an email. And then when I got the email, I opened up the picture and I saved it to my PC, to a folder on my PC. So that was the first few steps that I had to do to be able to pull the picture into the project. So I'm going to go to project, and I'm not sure if the video actually shows you when there's drop-down menus, but if I click on project, there's 4 options. And the very last one says add project, so I'm going to do that. Add the project, and you will always need to have a tutorial title, and you need to download a picture. So I'm going to put in the name of the stamp set I used, which was Positive Thoughts, and then I'm going to go down and I'm going to choose the file, and that's where I'm going to pick up my photo. Now it actually went to the folder because I've been working in this folder, creating my blog hop for this month. So wherever you saved your photo, your picture of your project, you're going to go locate that photo. And then the picture that I want to use is, I think, this one. So I'm going to say, open that. And it just pulls in the name of the project. It doesn't show you the photo just yet, but it will be there. We can come back and check it later. You'll see the actual photo is there. And I also watermarked my photo ahead of time before saving it to my PC. That's another, probably a separate training to show you how to do that. I use an app on my phone. It's called Watermark. I have an iPhone, and the app I use is called, I think it's iWatermark. But you can search out there for, under your apps, and just search for watermark or watermarking, and there should be apps out there available on both Android and on iPhone that you can download to your phone. So to get started, I'm going to click on the supplies that I used. And what I do when I'm working on a card that I know I'm going to use in my blog is, as I'm using product, I'll just take a piece of note paper at my workstation, and I start jotting down the things that I used. And I always tend to put things in a certain order. It's not required, it's just the way my mind works and how it's easier for me. So I always start with my stamp set, and I used Positive Thoughts. So I'm going to start typing that, or I'm going to start typing it correctly, THOUGHTS. But it found it, so Positive Thoughts Cling Stamp Set. So I'm going to, you have to click on it in the list and then do Add Supply. And then I'll go to what I use as my dies, which was Nature's Thoughts. And there's Nature's Thoughts dies. I'm going to click on that and add that supply. And I'm going to go down to what cardstock dots. I do stamp set dies, cardstock, inks, and then accessories. Oh, I have another set of dies I used in here, so let me get that. Oops. Stitch rectangle dies I used. Okay. Now I'll go on to, I use shimmer white cardstock. Use petal pink. And if you just put the color in, then you have to go down the list to find the actual supply item. And you have to be careful when you're typing in. I think if you get too specific, it might not find it. So it's in there under petal pink 8.5 by 11 cardstock. I think if I just typed in petal pink cardstock, it might not find it. So I always just lead with the color and then let it bring up the rest of that information. So and I used gold foil sheets. Okay. And then I'll go to my ink colors, which was petal pink. Petal pink stamp pad. Use cherry cobbler. There's my cherry cobbler, cardstock. Wow, that's way down the list here. Use pear, pizzazz. And if you grab the wrong thing, after you go through and you review your list, and if you grab the wrong product, you can delete it and then just go back and add the right one. Pizzazz, and I use soft suede. Soft suede stamp. Okay. And they were the inks that I used. So down to my accessories, I used the champagne rhinestones. And I used Wink of Stella. Okay, and I think that is everything. I think I had mentioned before when we were kind of doing a little demo of this, is that this is information that the owners of These Are My Stamps puts in, and they select the categories. And every once in a while, they may get a category incorrect. So if you notice Nature's Thoughts dies and it shows as a stamp, if I click on the little box next to it, well, it's supposed to let me change that, and for some reason it's not. Isn't that interesting? Okay, I'm not quite sure why it won't let me edit it, because that's what that little indicator there is for. And maybe because I'm trying to record this, it's not letting the pop-up come up. I'm not sure, but anyway, you can go in and change the category. So it should come up under it. Big Shot is what it shows for dies, so that's really what that category should be. But anyway, that's just something you're supposed to be able to do. And then, as I said, if something's wrong, you can remove it. You can change the order of it by just holding on to the little double arrows and then moving it where you might want it in the list. Okay, so that is pretty much it for my projects, or my supplies for this project. Okay, now if you scroll down the list, now this is going to be applicable for if you want to share the products you used in your blog. It's already going to come up if you want to do a document of the supplies used and the steps for your card, it's already going to show in that document. But if you wanted to copy this information over to your blog, you need to generate a special code that goes into your blog. And just bear with me on this. I'm going to just, because this is what I'm doing today for my blog post. This is the table where you decide how you want that information to show up in your blog. And there's a lot of stuff that's already checked off. I don't change anything here at all. I want to do a project link style. Like here's one down here for printing the recipe. So if I were trying to print this information, I would choose this instead of the product link. Everything else, I let it default. I want it to be at the center of my blog when I paste it in there. I want to include the product number, the product name, and the product price. These are the sizes that I want it to be. So when I come down here and I hit generate code, see how it popped all those photos in? Okay, so this is everything that I used for this project. Oh, actually, I did use liquid Tombow. So let me just try adding that. And anytime you have to come back and add something, Tombow. What do we call that? We must call that something else. Oops, I could spell liquid. Multi-purpose liquid glue. Okay, that's what we're calling that. So I do add supply, and that put that at the bottom. Now I've changed this information, so I have to go back now and generate my code again. So I do that, and if I look down here now, it's added that. Okay, so this is what I want to show on my blog. I want these photos to show up at the bottom of my blog. And I want people to be able to just click on these photos and have them be taken right to my online store. So to do that, this is all computer talk. This is called HTML code. And you have to copy all of this and then paste it into your blog. So again, just bear with me on this. If you click into the box, because if I scroll down here, well, I'll do that just to show you. There's a lot of data in there that you have to capture. So it's easiest just to click inside. If you click it, it undoes the steps. So I click it again. And to copy it, I can do right click on my mouse and do copy, or I can do a Control C on my keyboard. I don't know what it is for Mac, but for a regular computer, it's Control C. Now I've got my blog post open, so I'm going to click over to that. This is my WordPress blog, and I've created I put my pictures into my blog. I put my text into my blog. Now I want to put in the product that I used. So I go to the last line, and I'm just going to hit enter and move my cursor all the way over to the left. Now, again, this is how WordPress works. It's a little different for each blog. Right now, I'm in the visual mode of this. And if I click on text, you'll see it changes all to that computer speak gobbledygook, whatever, real technical, but that's what I call it. So my cursor's blinking at where I had it before I switched from visual over to text. And that's where I want to put the information for my product. So remember, I did a Control C, or I did a right click copy to copy all of that data from the other screen. Now I can either right click on my mouse and do paste, or I could have done a Control V on my keyboard. So Control C will copy, Control V, then paste that information. So as you can see, it's put all that text in here. Now all I need to do is go back and click on visual, and that's got the pictures that I want in my block. So, and I just go back and change my spacing a little bit, but and of course I want to very quickly save my draft so I don't lose that. So again, that's a little bit more advanced, but I'm going to go back into TAMS. Okay, so I've generated my code. Now I want to add my instructions. So add new instruction. And I actually did take some photos of how I did the actual frame on this project. And I used the frame that comes with the die set, but that frame just cuts out a solid square with a decorative border. That's all it is. It does not cut out the inside of it. So I want to describe to my customers how I got to that end product, which was an actual frame. So I'm going to say, I'm going to do my steps using a piece of petal pink cardstock and the square frame. Using a piece of pink cardstock. Cut out the rectangle. Okay, so I can go and say choose file because I took a photo of it. And I can drop that in there. Again, it just shows the name of the photo for the first time when you're putting things in there. So I'm going to say, okay, click and save that. And then I'm going to add another step. My next step is take that piece and using and I've got the size of the rectangle. So it's 3 5/8 inch by 2 3/8 inch stitched rectangle. And if I could spell. So take that piece and using the 3 5/8 by 2 3/8 stitch rectangle die, cut out the center. Cut out the center of the petal pink piece. So I'm going to choose my picture again just to show how I put the die over top of that. And I'm going to open, add that file. And then I'm going to say this will be your end result because this is, I have a picture of that too. And I just grab that. So when I'm working with a lot of photos for a project, I just create a new folder on my PC and I drop all my photos in there so I can have one place to go back and get them without wasting a lot of time trying to find them. So save and add another instruction. Okay, so I'll do that. Okay, and I'll say using Whisper White cardstock, stamp 1 flower using cherry cobbler and 1 flower using petal pink ink. And I'm going to just put another paragraph and I'm going to say stamp large leaf sprig using pear pizzazz, and then stamp butterfly using soft suede. Cut out all images using dyes. Okay. So I'm going to see, but I don't have a picture of that. Okay, then I'm going to say using Wink of Stella, color both flowers and butterfly. Okay, and then I'm going to say using gold foil, cut one small butterfly and two small leaf sprigs. Okay. And again, this is going to be a little bit longer than normal. I wanted to have this part done beforehand, but I didn't, so I appreciate you bearing with me. And then I'm going to say, okay, using cherry cobbler and soft suede markers. Take cap and using brush end of marker, create splatters of color randomly across card front. And I didn't add the markers to the supply list only because we don't have the markers listed separately. You can only add that product to the supply list by grabbing the entire, however many markers, I think 48 marker, whatever it is, whatever the number is. You just have to, that's all that that's how we sell them. So it's hard to put a specific marker in there, so I just don't add it to the supply list. Okay, so using cherry cobbler, you're making the splatters, and then I say take the petal pink frame and lie loosely on card front at an angle. This is to just get the proper placement for where to stamp your sentiment. Stamp sentiment in soft suede. Okay. And then attach frame using multi-purpose glue. Boy, I can't spell today for anything. Liquid. Okay. Okay, save and add another. So attach leaf sprig first using mini dimensionals, which I forgot to put on my list of supplies. Let's say add flowers next using dimensionals, and add butterfly last. Now say I'm going to take out the last because that's not the last thing. So add butterflies using dimensionals. Take the gold, small leaf sprigs, and then tuck them So I do, again, have a photo kind of showing how I attached everything to, or the order that I put things in. So I can add that there. And then I can say my final step is for inside stamp sentiment using soft suede. Stamp the large leaf sprig in lower right hand corner. And I'll say, I left a step out, so I'll show you how to go back. So I'll say attach two small petal pink butterflies. And I have a photo of the inside of the card. Okay. All right, so I want to view. Okay, so this is just the text, the steps involved. Okay, so where I was saying to cut out everything, I need to edit that step. So I'm going to go over here and edit, and say using scrap, whoops. Cut out two small pieces, two small butterflies using the petal pink. Okay. Now, I don't really have to do a save here. I can go back and do view and reorder, and it's going to be in that step. So if I come down here where I was saying to cut everything out, using scrap piece of petal pink, cut two small butterflies. So it did put that in there. So this is the documentation of how to put this card together, including photos. So how do you get from here to do your documentation? So if I go back out here and I want to say, show me the project front, or I'm sorry, I'll do a view card. So I can go out here and there's my view card. There's the picture of the card. And underneath that is my project recipe. And it's got the steps that I first started with on how to get that frame piece. So using a piece of petal pink cardstock, cut out the rectangle frame, which I show a photo. And keep in mind, you don't have to have photos of each step. I just happened to have them because I was doing something a little different in creating the frame. So I'm, kind of just scrolling down. There's my photo that shows how I attached, or what it looks like after I attached all my pieces. Here's a photo of the inside. This is also where you can come down here. So it's got your supplies listed. And since I have everything listed here, I can just go through and update what I have as far as supplies. So I'm just clicking on Have It. Okay, so keep in mind, when you're building your supply list, this is not signifying that you have all these supplies. In order for it to actually show up in your inventory on TAMS, you have to go through and do this have it, have it, have it. Now, if it's something that you're working with and, maybe you've borrowed somebody's product or whatever, you can come over here and say, click on I want it, and then you'll have a little shopping list for when you are ready to purchase the supplies used. But that's how you add it to your specific inventory within TAMS, okay? So I'm going to scroll back up here, and under project recipe, you can click on print recipe, and this is going to show you what this will look like when you want to create this document for an upcoming class, or if you want to send somebody a PDF. Say you're starting to create this stuff and you want to share PDFs with your customers, you can do that as well. So in the the blue box is your options for printing, and you can say, I just want to show product names. So let me scroll down here, and that's what this is under supplies needed. It's showing just the product names and the order number. Now, if you're sharing this online and somebody pulls this up, if you go over any of these items and you click on it, again, if you've got an online store, it's going to take you to your store. This is my online account, and it's going to take you to that product. Okay. Let me get back over to the document. And then here's the project recipe. I can change that to say, I want to show the product images. So I want to show the actual pictures. And because I have photos in my instructions, I want to say show instruction images. And I can choose to do my picture, that's this picture here. The picture, you can do it as a small picture, or you can do it as a large picture. Since I've got documentation with it, it's going to take up a lot more paper. So I'm going to leave my picture small, and I'm going to say update this page. I want to see my changes. So now if I scroll down, there are the pictures, and then here are the photos involved in the documentation that I provided. Okay. And now I can say, I want to print this page. All right. This is all information that I have plugged in when I created my account. I've actually branded my logo because I want to make sure anywhere I'm placing my name, I have the same look, the same text, the information's always going to be consistently the same. That's just something I chose to do because I'm trying to really push this more of a business for me. So you don't have to have this, or you won't have this unless you've created your own logo. But that's pretty much how you would create a project with steps. Okay. Again, a lot of information on here. I'm happy to go over this with you all individually. We can do another little class that just is specifically on how to go through and do set up a project in TAMS with something you created. Just let me know. I'm always happy to work through that with you guys. So I am going to hopefully, let me get back here. Okay. I'm going to stop the video now, and I'm going to go ahead and share that for you to view at your leisure. So thanks for hanging in there with me, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks.